Today, Chaplin's challenge, the 70s. Over the past decade, Chaplin has had to face an ever-growing problem. As a result of advancing educational standards, universities, commerce and industry are demanding ever higher qualifications. But Chaplin today lacks some of the essential facilities and the modern teaching aids, so necessary to meet all the demands of the 70s. This is Chaplin's challenge. How to keep pace with the 70s. The future.
Now, the thing that I want to refer to particularly is the question of a reference library. We've got a reference library. It is a converted classroom where sixth formers sit along tables like this, right next to one another, but the place is cramped. It's not worthy of a room which one should regard as one of the most important localities within the school. A library where private study is done. I must add to this a language laboratory. This is the only school in Gwello without a language laboratory. I'm afraid a language laboratory we'd have to work for ourselves. Then there is also the question of audio-visual provisions. We've improvised, as one has to, the same as with our reference library, and we've got a very small room, but to fit a class in there, they sit crowded in a place like this, a place unattractive to the boys and girls. So what we are aiming to build is a resources center which incorporates this reference library, the language laboratory, and a theater where audiovisual study can be done properly and efficiently in the school. Now, if we don't make this effort together, we won't get it.
Challenges are not new to Chaplin. It has met them before. The chapel, inspired by a desire to provide a spiritual center and to commemorate the school's war heroes, was made possible by the joint efforts, enthusiasm, and sacrifices of the school community. Another example of an unstinted self-help effort is the George Arliss Field. Funds for this project were raised at a school fete. Without the community's generosity and cooperation, Chaplin would not have these wonderful amenities today. But how to meet the challenge of the 70s? To raise $100,000 is an exacting, full-time job. The originating committee decided that progressive ideas demand progressive tactics. They came forward with a dynamic proposal. Eliminate the pitfalls of go-it-alone tactics. Engage the services of qualified fundraising consultants whose proven successes in similar campaigns elsewhere would guarantee the success of this campaign. An exchange of letters set the ball rolling. Consultants from the National Fundraising Council moved in. Professionals who will handle the scheme on a sound, competent basis, ensuring that the full value will be extracted from every dollar collected. The project of the 70s is big. It is bold. Chaplin seldom makes appeals for funds. When it does, it's for something truly worthwhile. Old boys and girls who revisit Chaplin find the same spirit that they knew in their day. The objective of self-enriching education to produce worthy citizens of Rhodesia is still there.
I would, of course, like to welcome possibly our most famous old boy, the Prime Minister, Mr. Ian Smith.
On my behalf, I would like to say what an honor it is for me to be able to associate myself with Chaplin's challenge of the 70s. Certainly, this challenge is going to bring problems to many of us. In fact, it will bring even more than problems for those, such as the people here this evening, the workers. It will bring many frustrations, and these, of course, will be accompanied by headaches. But this is the sort of sacrifice which people must be prepared to make now and again, especially when they are working for a worthwhile cause. And it is nothing unusual to ask people to make sacrifices. This is part of our everyday life, in fact. We always make sacrifices, admittedly not always big ones. But for example, every day when you go to work, you make a sacrifice. Even when you have to rouse yourself from your comfortable chair to do something, this is a sacrifice. Because what is a sacrifice? It is giving up something for something else. And in this particular case, as I hope to prove to you, it is something very worthwhile. And I believe that when we are asked to make a sacrifice, there are two questions which we are entitled to ask. Firstly, we are entitled to ask, what is the sacrifice in aid of? And secondly, do we consider the sacrifice worthwhile? In answer to the first question, the sacrifice we are being asked to make, as far as Chaplin's challenge of the 70s is concerned, is in aid of trying to assist in helping our children to make the best of their lives. And I think this is quite clear and unequivocal. What we are doing here this evening is to start a campaign which will be assisting these people to enable them to get the best possible education facilities, thus ensuring that they will not lag behind the educational facilities which are provided in other progressive countries in the world. Now, having decided the answer to the first question, the second one is easier and falls more logically, because once we have decided that we have a worthwhile cause in answer to the first question, then I'm sure in answer to the second question, which is, do we consider it worthwhile? I believe all of you will agree with me here when I say that not only is it worthwhile, indeed, it is more than worthwhile. I think that as we go about our task, the most common question that people will put to us is this. They will say, but why must we do what we believe government should do? And at first blush, this might seem to be a good and a logical question. But I do believe that on closer examination, one can prove that it doesn't really hold much water. You see, governments are impersonal things. And they can never differentiate and make a special case for anybody or any school or any section of the community, not if they are doing their task honestly and sincerely. Because if they are honest and sincere, they have got to try to be quite impartial, and they have got to try to give the same service to everybody. And tragically, under these circumstances, inevitably the position in which we find ourselves is that there is a raising not up, but unfortunately down to a common level. There is no doubt that if you are going to get the best results in life, you have got to ensure that the personal interest is brought in, that there is a personal touch. And this is no reflection on any particular government. It is well known, well proven, all through the world and as long back as records go, that when governments try to do things, they are never able to do them quite so well, never quite so efficiently as private enterprise. And so, this is what we have decided. And in order to get the best results, we have got to ask ourselves this question. Would it be of any use if we ask government to do the task for us? To get the money by increasing general taxation and then trying to do the job? And I think if we honestly ask ourselves this question, then there is one honest answer. And that is that even if government had twice the money at their disposal that we hope to raise in this effort, then I would be surprised if they even succeeded in achieving half the results which we will achieve with the same amount of money. Therefore, if we are determined in what we are going to do, in other words, that we are going to attempt to try to help to keep Chaplin above the common level, then indeed we will be showing wisdom if we decide that rather than allowing government to do it, that we would rather tax ourselves and then use the money ourselves rather than allow somebody else to tax us and use the money under a system in which we would have no control. I would submit, ladies and gentlemen, that the cause which we are espousing this evening is a worthy cause. It is something which should inspire us every time I come back here to my old school of Chaplin. I must say that I am filled with admiration and pride in what I see and how the school has progressed and improved when I see the young people from Chaplin, their wonderful achievements. Those of us who are associated with Chaplin are indeed fortunate. We happen to be associated with one of the old schools of Rhodesia, one of the original schools, a school which is steeped in history, tradition, maturity, and at the same time is showing that it is progressive, that it is looking forward, that it is determined to ensure that the things that we provide for our children are going to be up to the standard, at least, if not even ahead of the standard that they would get elsewhere.
Prime Minister, Mr. Chairman, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank our Prime Minister and truly most distinguished, respected old boy for coming back to Chaplin again tonight. I can assure him that he's always more than welcome back here. Most of us know that as recently as a month ago, we had our Prime Minister with us on the occasion of our sports day and the opening of the new track. We certainly appreciate it that so soon afterwards, a man who is as busy as what he is, whose time on his farm out at Gwenora is valuable to him as it is, that he didn't hesitate once again to come along this evening to be with us and to join in our undertaking. On your behalf, I thank him sincerely. I would also like to thank, well, first of all, you all for coming along this evening. You realize what this demonstration means to us. Supposing we sent these invitations out, supposing there was no interest in the school, and tonight had been a flop in terms of turnout, where would we turn? We have a very large community of old boys and old girls. Many were not able to come, but the fact that the hall is full, packed full, is a credit to you. It's a credit, I think, to the spirit of the school to which we belong. So a very warm word of thanks to you for your support. I can assure you this sort of thing isn't just taken for granted. Then I would also thank most sincerely the members of the school council, the old boys, the old girls, parents, friends of the school, who from the beginning have been enthusiastic about this self-help scheme to help Chaplin move into this next 10 years and into the future with a big hand from its community. Now, I know you people are, some of you are still not really in the picture as to what this is all about. You will have had a very attractive brochure known as a resources study. If you've read this, then I think you will be pretty well informed.
Chaplin must not be allowed to lag behind the times.
Now, Mr. Ollers is the mainstay, the person who's got us into this, and who we all prepared to work for. I think he is symbolical of Chaplin School today. He's the first old boys headmaster, and he's done something to the school that I think I'm probably the worst old boy. I never took any interest in the school for a number of years, and thank you very much. But until Mr. Ollers approached me, and I really got keen on this, and I think we all have, to make this school, say, as proud as we were, as proud of it as we were when we first got into the first 11 or the first 15. After that, we sort of didn't take too much interest, or I'm speaking for myself, and I think a lot of you. But I promise you, this school today has a tradition, has something that has built this country, and it is part of Rhodesia today. Now, talking about money, going back to my debt collecting, $10,000, $100,000, not a lot of money. We want to do this over 5 years. It's not a lot of money. It's only $20,000 a year over 5 years. All we need is 200 guys to give us $1,000 and we're home.
Chaplin needs your help to meet the challenge of the 70s.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the toast, Chaplin School. Chaplin.